carry that Stratford way.
I was told to get up and pack this morning because we're going away. I have no idea where we're going because it's my birthday weekend and it's supposed to be a surprise. So we'll see where we're off to.
Magical mystery tour.
We only had a couple of days for this mini tour, so I planned a route around places that I knew Sue would find of particular interest. She loves her Tiger 900 GT Pro, so the first stop was a no-brainer. Our route north took us past the Althorpe estate, for some reason pronounced Althorpe, but it's the final resting place of Princess Diana. We arrived at the Triumph factory in very wintry, windy, blustery conditions, which was to prove much windier than we had expected.
Then I met you. You took me by the hand and showed me the world. Everywhere I was hurled, like flowers we grew, and never felt blue. Like raindrops we were falling. Now I hear them calling. Baby, come, let's move on. 'Cause if that's your love, it danced through the night in the neon lights. Love everybody. Take a chance, take it easy, let's roll the dice. Show my love. It danced through the night in the neon lights. Love everybody. My mind is set free and I'll be me. 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 Yeah, I'll be.
We're at the Triumph Factory Visitor Experience.
So, first stop. Oh, my feet didn't touch the ground.
You've got many legs. That doesn't it look lovely?
Not as good as a 900 though.
Well, it's not red.
We had a look at the exhibition first. Triumph clearly has some very famous fans and has been featured in some really high-profile movies.
There he is, Steve McQueen. Right, coffee time.
Coffee time. Oh, that's good, that chocolate one.
Can you do me a flat white with a lovely pattern on top?
I'm not good at the art, I can tell you that.
Do the best you can with the art.
I'm not nearly as fussy. I'll just have a cappuccino, thank you.
Well, every day except Monday, Tuesday. Yeah.
So how many people go on this tour?
15 people this time. Pretty much full most days, yeah. Pretty much full.
Do you ride a trial?
I haven't got a bike at the minute, to be honest, but I am part of the riding scheme here, so I can do if I want to. Yeah. But, yeah, I haven't got a bike at the moment. But,
Anyway, we're looking forward to it.
yeah, good.
Ian, who's been with Triumph for a number of years, led our tour of the factory, but sadly no film was allowed. I had no idea that Triumph was a privately owned company. It was in fact bought by John Bloor OBE of the famous Bloor Homes back in 1983 and was actually renamed, having originally been called Bonneville Coventry Limited. There are production units and distributors throughout the world, with much of the production being done in Asia. The Hinckley factory does the custom work and has a pretty significant crankshaft manufacturing unit. I had no idea what a crankshaft even was before the visit. Guess you learn something every day. Spray painting of spares is done in the UK, and I have to say I was really surprised to hear it's all done by hand and by humans. I had half expected it to all be run by robots. I was also really impressed to see the hand-painted gold lines on the tanks. It's apparently a skill which takes quite some time to learn. No chance of them offering me a job anytime soon. I can't even stain the lines when I'm colouring in. As you might expect, production was badly affected during COVID, and the factory used lockdown to completely strip out the production lines and restructure the whole unit. The guys now work in pairs with a trolley of components, one on the left and one on the right of a strategically placed engine, and have around 22 minutes to complete their section of the bike before passing it on to the next pair to complete the next stage. It's fascinating to watch it all come together. Ian went into a great deal of detail about the testing throughout the entire production process. Suffice to say, these bikes can tolerate far more than most of us bikers will ever do to them. You know, it was a really great tour and one we would both really recommend.
Lovely to
Thank
meet
you so
A
much.
great start to Sue's magical mystery tour until we stepped outside.
Blown over.
Yes, folks, 250 kilograms of bike blown over. But luckily, Sue's Tigers saved the day and we're back on the road. Also, a massive thanks to one of our subscribers. We didn't catch your name, but thanks ever so much for helping me lift the bike up. So that was stage 1 complete. And for the second stage, we're off for a mandatory fix of history and culture. And for that, we're heading to the beautiful town of Stratford upon Avon.
I look the other way. I don't see how it's got anything to do with me. Oh, hurry, I need my beat. At any expense, it doesn't make sense, but every cell in my body eats its protein. Well, grass is only for cows, and rabbits efficient. Run for a better climb, higher, educate away. I am all my degrees, my masters. Hey, look at me, I am somebody. It's what I've learned at carbon dioxide. My conclusion is that it's all a lie. Arrogant ceremony, we're not smart, we will.
Stratford upon Avon is a medieval market town in England's West Midlands, and it's the 16th century birthplace of William Shakespeare, possibly the most famous writer in the English language, but more about him later. There's no denying that it's a must-visit place for anyone interested in literature, theatre, Western culture and English history. And as such, it's one of the most important tourist destinations in the UK.
Carbon dioxide. My conclusion is that it's all a lie. Arrogant ceremony, we're not smart, we will survive. We've got technology, it's not a lie, we will survive. The seas are thriving, we will get by, it's not
A very windy day here on the first day of our mini tour, and we are here in Stratford upon Avon. Let's go and check out the room. This is it, room 313. Nice double bed. And my lovely wife is now running a bath for me because it's so cold out there. Bathroom and bathroom shower, of course. Could take some time. What do you think?
I think it's nice. It's bright and clean and functional, and it's got a bath.
Now obviously we're eager to get out and explore the cultural delights of Stratford upon Avon, but first...
Spring. And you're having a...
Gin and tonic.
What kind of gin and tonic is it?
It's a Tanqueray Seville.
So, this is the restaurant. This is where Shakespeare used to come for his dinner. I think Shakespeare used to sit here, this very table.
In my seat. Isn't that lovely? What a beautiful room.
Yeah. The starter, this is what Shakespeare would have had, which is, look at that, a warm, what is
Smoked salmon and prawn cocktail.
smoked salmon prawn
It
cocktail.
looks really lovely.
That's not like the prawn cocktail I used to have in the 70s.
In a glass with lettuce.
Yeah, with
Iceberg
lettuce.
And that's
soup.
tomato and pepper soup.
Tomato and pepper soup. Oh, bon appetit. Shakespeare burger. Actually, it's not called that, but it's a burger anyway. And that's a
Braised beef, and it is really lovely.
and we're just off to find some breakfast and a wander around the historical sites. So we'll catch you later. There we go. Breakfast time. Bacon and eggs. And a bacon. What is it?
Egg and sausage sandwich.
Shakespeare School. Why don't we go in and check out where he went to learn English?
Girls now teaching things like a child. Don't take my soul. Married? Children? Four. Good size number, yes. Small by Shakespeare's time. He was one of 8, of course. No cross legs in here. Sit like a boy, legs splayed.
Please, sir, what's the worst teaching job in history? Shakespeare's English teacher.
They've got it running through their bloodstream, haven't they? It's just fantastic.
That reminds me of when I was a kid in Blackburn. We used to write with quills. Continues our search for the perfect flat white in Stratford upon Avon. Bring us to Caffeine and look at what we got. This is where Shakespeare used to come for his flat white. Oh yeah. And we've got the top barista who did it, who is, what's your name? Cameron. Well done, Cameron. Thank you. That was a good call, that. Look at that house.
Now fully refreshed after a brilliant flat white, it was time to visit Shakespeare's actual birthplace.
This is where he used to sleep. And that's the pot under the bed, which I had when I was a kid in Blackburn. See? So I'm not too different to Shakespeare then. Well, that's poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest and most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now how abhorrent in my imagination it is. Where be your jibes now, your gambols, your songs?
So, we're going for pre-dinner drinks. This is the microcode.
What's that?
Cider.
Strawberry sauce.
Strawberry cider.
What happened to the gin and tonic?
I'm thirsty.
Drinking.
Gin and tonic.
What is it?
It's a Shakespeare gin.
Look, yes, it's
And
a
it's
double.
And it's got nearly a pint of tonic in it because it's clearly a strong gin.
Blow your head off.
No, we're out for the weekend. We've come over for the weekend. But I do a lot of riding over here. There's some really great roads, isn't there? There are some lovely roads. Lots of things you can really see. So at the minute I've got a Kawasaki. I'll ride on that one. I know. But I'm coming over. I want the GT 900. I'm really good. So the 900. So she's still got the MT-07. So the wife's still playing with that. But it's big enough for her. She really enjoys it. I've tried to coach her into doing Scotland this year, but she don't want to come with us. She said it's too far for me. Really good meeting them. Can I have that photo? Can I have a photo?
Well, that was a great evening at the little micro pub in Stratford, wasn't it?
It was great.
And now we're off to find a Thai restaurant. Here we go. Thai restaurant. Oh, This will be fine. What is it? Thai chicken wings and
Duck
spring rolls. Wow.
Looks lovely.
Excellent. I'm starving. Really nice Thai meal. Something it's freezing cold and looks like it's raining in the air. Head back for a night cab at the hotel.
So if you're going to stay in Stratford, would we recommend the Doubletree by Hilton?
The Doubletree Hotel is part of the American Hilton Group and only opened in 2018. We've stayed in Doubletree before on our travels, and like many of the bigger chain, they're pretty uniform in their facilities. The location's great, being only a couple of minutes walk to the main attractions, restaurants and all the shops. Our room was on the 3rd floor, and while being a bit dark, it was spacious with a big bed, lots of storage and a huge TV. The ensuite was small but had a tub, a nice addition after a chilly riding day. The hotel provides bottled water at check-in, and there were basic tea and coffee making facilities, so if you like your fix of coffee like we do on waking, you don't need to go in search of the local coffee shops. With so many lovely eateries within walking distance, we didn't have our evening meal in the hotel restaurant, and as breakfast wasn't included in the price, we decided to eat out in the mornings too. We did look at the dinner menu, which apparently changes fairly regularly, and the usual offerings of bistro-style food was available. The reception staff were really the only hotel people we had any interaction with, and they were friendly, helpful and speedy when checking us in, and the extra pillow we asked for was delivered very quickly to our room. The hotel had lots of parking, and we had no trouble parking the bikes at all, knowing they would be safe and secure. Like most places, the prices vary depending on when you stay, and we've posted what we were charged for 2 nights midweek pre-Easter in the notes below. Overall, a convenient and comfortable place to base yourself when visiting the lovely Stratford-on-Avon.
Where are we going for special breakfast?
I have no idea.
We're going to a special birthday breakfast place. Somewhere close.
Thank you for all the birthday messages I've had on Instagram and Facebook. There's been hundreds and I've tried to reply to all of them, but thank you so much for all your best wishes.
The next stop on our magical mystery tour was a place we'd always wanted to visit, so it seemed an opportune time to check out breakfast at Caffeine and Machine. Caffeine and Machine describes itself as a coffee house, licensed bar and restaurant, boutique B&B and a living art gallery. It's designed very simply as a place to go, a destination if you appreciate moving things. Well, it sounds great. Unfortunately, I didn't read the small print that said you had to book on weekends. But Sue just smiled at them, said it was her birthday, and so they let us in for free.
Birthday girl at the very famous Caffeine and Machine.
Brilliant.
Let's go get the birthday girl a big breakfast.
Yes, if you find yourself a
table, any of the tables on site, they've all got a QR code on them. You just scan that to the food and drink and we'll bring it all out to your table.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What's just arrived?
Wow.
I love the holiday where it's
Serious breakfast rolls. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
No, that's a proper birthday breakfast roll.
It is. Excellent.
That's interesting. Caffeine and Machine.
This has proved so popular they had to build some extra seating area outside, but inside. After a great breakfast and fantastic coffee, it was time to leave Caffeine and Machine for our final leg of the Magical Mystery Tour, which would take us to a Paranormal Research Centre back where we'd started in Hinckley. The route took us along the Fosse Way. Whilst not a classic twisty biking road, it was nevertheless a historically significant road to ride. It's one of the straightest of straight Roman roads across England. It runs from Exeter in Devon in the south to Lincoln in the northeast. When the troops of Emperor Claudius landed in Kent in AD 43, they soon pushed inland and conquered much of southern England. The Fosse Way, built in the first phase of occupation, effectively marked the western frontier of the early Roman province.
I've mentioned in previous videos that I had a pretty unconventional upbringing. I grew up thinking everybody's granny talked to dead people, as my maternal grandmother did. As a result, I've always had a fascination for anything remotely paranormal.
Where are we?
We're at the Haunted Antiques and the Paranormal Research Centre.
If I'm honest, it's a pretty innocuous looking place in the town centre of Hinckley, and on entering felt much like any other little shop selling crystals and tarot cards.
Research Centre. It's called full title is Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre.
I'd phoned ahead to arrange a private tour of the centre itself.
Look at that, yeah, absolutely. So what are all these?
They are potions, yes. That spinning wheel that's just...
Ant was our guide. He had a particular passion for this stuff, and it would appear some rather unusual abilities.
In the corner there.
Yeah.
I have actually picked up an old lady attached to that.
This looks interesting.
Yes. So this is the Victorian seance parlour then. Most of the things in here now are original to that time period. Hands on either the big square or the pyramid, and
the pyramid apparently operates like the Ouija boards I remember my grandmother talking about.
you'll just ask questions and it will literally move around.
And how often do you have seances?
Once a month, but we do have paranormal teams investigating every weekend.
I've always, even as a small child, had a real fascination with the suffragette movement. So much so that they were featured in one of the regressions in my book. So what a real coincidence that in the next room was an entire wall dedicated to them. Suffragettes, always. It's always been a real passion. I remember as a kid at primary school, we were all asked to write something during our holidays, and, you know, my pet and where I went to the beach, and I wrote about the suffragettes, and I must have been 6 or 7 at the time. Really weird.
Some of them do contain poisons. Over 100 years old now, possibly 200 years. It's probably not wise to open up a bottle of poison from that sort of long ago.
Sure.
Big mirror. It is actually a portal to another dimension, and we do get things come in and out of that quite frequently. They're not because, as you see, when the light's off, it's pitch black. You close the door, you can't see anything then.
That's me out of there.
We do actually have video evidence of that being physically lifted up and thrown to the ground.
Was it in one piece before that happened?
It was in one piece.
Wow, so you saw it break?
Yeah, and because of the cameras at the time, we can actually prove that there was no one anywhere near it when it happened.
I'm conscious that this is all quite controversial stuff. Lots of people don't believe in it, and some are really afraid of it. Whatever you might think about the paranormal, it was a really fascinating place to visit, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.
Enjoy that?
That was great, yeah.